Gathered friends, listen again to our legend of the Bionicle. Today, I don't desire to focus strictly on a single set or figure, but rather about Bionicle as an entirety. And one thing that really harkens back to 2001, 20 years ago now, even going into 2022, what struck me so iconically back in that year. And I realized it's one thing. It comes down to Bionicle forming its own identity. Yes, it may sound surprising, but from the very beginning, this toy line that LEGO concocted all the way over there from Denmark really made its own personal Kenohi. When I look back to the commercial breaks between episodes of Power Rangers Time Force, Bionicle had one thing that set itself apart from all the rest of the commercials, whether advertising toys, junk food, or other stuff from the Fox Kids network. But the fact is, they were all loud, obnoxious, and doing all they could to gain the attention of the viewer. But that's the thing. They try to appeal to everyone, and it forms the paradox of appealing to no one. But Bionicle did not do that. It was dark, it was focused, and had the incredible voice of Tony Wedgwood, who we can identify for voice, but not nearly as much in face. But his voice is part of what built Bionicle into what it is. A fact I am definitely a fan of is that he voiced it from the beginning all the way into the end of 2010. So I don't believe he returned for the 2015 and 16, but as we know, that was more of an experiment to see if Bionicle could exist in a modern market, which it did. But if you look at compilation lists on YouTube of multiple commercials from the early 2000s, or even by year, especially with 2001, Bionicle usually isn't among them. I don't want to say it's forgotten, because it definitely isn't, but it's remembered separately. Just like when people make compilation lists of best TV shows ever, but always omit anime because it truly is its own genre. And just like Bionicle, it's its own thing. This was when I was exposed to a lot of darker things in child medium, stuff that wouldn't be allowed to today. Like in the year 2000, we had Digimon Adventure Original, I believe. In 2001, of course, was Adventure 2, which got really dark. Just like his master's voice, one of the most messed up Digimon episodes there are. Then, of course, Digimon Tamers, my absolute favorite season of Digimon, went all out dark, to the point where the internet collectively considers that's when Digimon broke itself. And to elaborate, that is when it broke its own demographic and was no longer a kid's show. And damn is it great. And as I mentioned, Power Rangers Time Force. That was a much darker Power Rangers season with a really in-depth story. In fact, when people ask me what is the best series of Power Rangers, my answer goes to Time Force because it includes everything that makes a Power Ranger series great. Yet now, I digress. Bionicle wasn't made up of robots that transformed, nor was it multicolored superheroes. We didn't expect Denmark to bring this to us. I wish I could fully understand why Bionicle is so hard to mistaken for anything else. You can look at a figure and know this is not a Hasbro property, this is not Toei, this is not Bandai, Mattel, etc. You look at it and you may not know it's a LEGO product, but you know it's not something you've seen before. I fully recall being a kid and wondering what had inspired anybody to come up with something remotely like Bionicle. The toys themselves wouldn't be this in-depth if there wasn't such a powerful story behind it. That's something I feel many toy lines lack. It's very difficult to have such incredible lore behind it. So many toys that are in that depth have the lore prior to becoming the toy, but Bionicle wasn't like that. It literally came on with its story and its figures ready. Yes, it was all a ploy to make money, as about everything else is, but that didn't stop it from being incredible. As I've always said, each year Bionicle expanded, it became so much harder to pick a favorite each year. excuses to sell toys never felt so justified. To an extent, LEGO was making it up as they went along, but we trusted the writers behind it and the sculptors who formed these incredible toys. Even ideas that were unused really were fascinating, and some ideas from the beginning played out toward the end, such as Matanui Awakening in 2009, much like the Emergence in Marvel's Eternals, which just released last week at the point of recording. It truly is its own thing, and that's what makes it important. But I realize now that's why I'm here, making this video, and that's why you're listening. I want to keep Bionicle alive, because many have forgotten it, but it's played such an influence in my life and that of others. But I'm thankful I can just be here and maintain its existence. At times I don't even want to call myself a Bionicle collector, but ultimately I preserve these things. It may even be the most successful non-licensed toy line LEGO's ever produced. So, to each of you Bionicle fans, this video is to your dedication.